What's up, everybody? Today's video brings us to Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills, California. And today I am going to be taking all of you to the grave of Ronnie James Dio. And if you're not familiar with Ronnie James Dio was a singer, very, very famous singer of the band Black Sabbath. He actually was the person who replaced and filled Ozzy Osbourne's place in Black Sabbath. Let's go check it out. Growing up, Ronnie James Dio, he always stood out to me because of just what he sung about. He sung about a lot of fantasy and just the way he infused it with rock and roll. And that was just something that always stood out to me that I thought was cool. Reasons why I continued to listen to Sabbath, because I'm a huge Ozzy person. Ozzy Osbourne for life. No disrespect, no hard feelings to Dio for replacing him in Sabbath. That's just how things go. That's how music goes. That's how art goes. Both of them, two different people, two different styles. Today's about Ronnie. Even though I am an Ozzy person, this video is about Ronnie James Dio. Something really cool is I had no idea that tomorrow is actually Ronnie James Dio's birthday. So this is really cool. Of all days, I decided to come do a Ronnie James Dio video. Tomorrow is his birthday, so happy birthday, Ronnie. Dio did pass away in 2010 due to stomach cancer. Dio is a legend though, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you already know that. And I know I did say that I'm an Ozzy person, but I've always been the kind of person to know that everybody does have their own style, their own art, and their own ways of doing things. And it wasn't Ronnie James Dio's fault that Ozzy Osbourne was kicked out of Sabbath and he became the next singer. You know, those were just his cards. That was what happened, and that was destiny. But if you think about it, all in all was good, because Dio went on to be successful with Sabbath, and Ozzy went on to build a solo career that topped everything. Mountains. Ozzy Osbourne moved mountains in the 80s with his solo work, and same with Dio, you know? Dio moved mountains as well. Everything he did for Sabbath and with Sabbath. Two different people, two different artists. So before anybody comes at me or wants to talk about Team Dio, Team Ozzy, I think we should just respect both and know that Sabbath was amazing with Ozzy and Sabbath was great with Dio. And Dio was a great solo artist and Ozzy was a great solo artist. What's really cool is Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. I've done a video in the past on him, probably maybe a year or so ago. You can check that one out. But he's right across from where Ronnie James Dio is buried. Lemmy, which is right here. Really cool. Rest in peace, Lemmy Kilmister. Motorhead was always one of my favorite bands for sure, but I have a video, you can go check that one out. On to Ronnie James Dio. But yeah, like I was saying, he's just right across the way from Lemmy Kilmister. So you have two rock legends buried in this same sacred square at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills Cemetery. Ronnie James Dio, the man on the Silver Mountain. Wow, this is really cool. Look at all those kiss marks. He was loved. Ronnie James Dio was very, very, very loved. As I was saying earlier, his birthday was born on July 10th, and that's tomorrow. So again, happy birthday, Ronnie James Dio. But this is rad. Very, very, very big. These are really, really awesome. I want something like this around my gravesite. That just goes to show how much Ronnie James Dio loved rock and roll. He dedicated his life to it. He has a hand throwing up the horns. He has a hand throwing up the horns for rock and roll forever beside him. He's got one right here. And another one right there. Rock in Paradise, Ronnie James Dio. Forever remembered 100% in the rock and roll community. Ronnie James Dio, July 10th, 1942 to May 16th, 2010. I'm gonna say it one more time, the man on the silver mountain. And I know this sounds just cliche, but my favorite Dio song is, you know, Rainbow in the Dark. It is Rainbow in the Dark. Discovered him by, I mean, no, it's not how I first discovered him. I figured him out, I discovered him through Sabbath, but that song is what shook me from Ronnie James Dio, 100%. That was the grave of Ronnie James Dio, former singer of Black Sabbath and really, really huge solo artist, Ronnie James Dio. I love rock and roll so much. It's legitimately my life. It's kind of all I talk about. It's all I think about. I almost feel like some people, I don't know, might find it a little annoying, but it's just me being myself. So thank you for joining me and always watching these videos. Keeps me happy because I truly love doing this. It's history and it deserves to still be seen and kept alive, and that's just how I feel. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you comment. Take care.